today? Does it say I'm live? It says I'm live. Let's see. Am I live? I don't know. Let's try it. Are we working anywhere? YouTube says I'm live. I might be live. Could I be live? I don't know. Let's see. Let's try. That's not working. And oh, YouTube does say I'm live. Okay, let's work out some bugs here and see if we can get everything to work. My little man isn't talking, so let's get him talking. Okay, that's one thing working right there. That should help. Let's see if I can get this to work. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. Is it working? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yes. Okay, it's working. It's a slight delay, but I can figure that out. We are going to go over to Kick after this and see if I can get Kick to multiple stream. What am I doing? Can I get Kick to work? Can I get it to work? This is the worst live stream of all time. It is clearly the worst because I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. Okay, I got YouTube up and I think Kick might be coming up in a minute. Let's see. Oh, I am doing Kick and YouTube at the same time. Is it working? I think it might be. I'm so excited. All right, let's change this to this. See if that works. Oh my God, I'm doing things. All right, let's get this started. 15 minutes later after I showed everyone how dumb I am. All right, my name is Sirius. This is Unfluenced, and I am no longer in Connecticut. I told Connecticut to go pound sand because they have been very clear they do not want me there. They do not want small businesses. They don't want people that generate income. They don't want anything except criminals and migrants. And I said, Connecticut, I hear you. I agree to your terms. So I left. I took all my stuff. I took the family. I took the dogs. I took everything and I left. I am now living in the great state of West Virginia. West Virginia, best Virginia. So how did we get here? Well, let's start off by saying one of the reasons why I left is because I do not like the way that Connecticut handles crime. Now, you've heard me make some reports before about how there are street takeovers every weekend. Every intersection has these giant burnout circles where kids take over the entire intersection, do sideshows, they wreck cars, and theft is like crazy. I was a victim of a hit and run a couple of weeks ago. I put a video about that and the cops showed up and they're like, oh, well, you know, the car was not registered and it's not insured and we don't know who the driver was and sorry, you're all out of luck. So I said, well, what state can I move to that has, you know, lower taxes, better air quality, they're a little harder on crime, there's less of this forced diversity that we are told we're supposed to love. And I settled on West Virginia. Now, this is not a big step for me. It's not a big transition. I was born and raised in regular Virginia, so this is not a culture shock for me. So I said, what would be a good way to show the stark differences between West Virginia and Connecticut? Why is it such a big change? Why are things so different? Well, a couple reasons. Connecticut is very, very, very blue, very Democrat, very liberal. They've had Democrat leadership in Connecticut for centuries, for decades, literally. It's been as long as anyone can remember. Several governors have been arrested for fraud and corruption. It is a very small state with 3 sanctuary cities. Hartford is a sanctuary city. Bridgeport is a sanctuary city, and New Haven is a sanctuary city. They are bringing in migrants by the truckload, literally. There are places in town in Connecticut where you can drive and you won't see a billboard on the highway in English for miles. I wanted to move to a place where you don't have to press 1 for English, if that makes any sense. Now, of course, I have nothing against Spanish-speaking people or Latinos. I mean, the best man at my wedding is from Puerto Rico. I mean, no one cares. But when you've lost your culture and you can't get it back, it's time to go somewhere else. So the crime thing was a big thing. So what's the difference? What's the difference between Connecticut and West Virginia? Well, the truth is, West Virginia had a problem last year. They had a problem last year where someone died in a DUI accident, completely and utterly preventable. So what they did, well, let me just play this news clip for you. Let's see if this works.
Let's head down to Charleston now, where earlier today the House of Delegates passed a law that would double criminal penalties for DUIs that result in a death. House Bill.
All right, let's pause that for a second. It's called Bailey's Law. All right. They are going to double the penalties for a DUI that results in a death. Now, Connecticut will do everything they can to let criminals go. Well, there was a Connecticut congresswoman who got a DUI, flipped over her car in the middle of the road while leaving the Capitol building. So she was drunk at work, making laws, flipped her car over, and they did everything they could to make sure that she suffered no penalties. They waited nearly an entire day before giving her a breathalyzer, and that's how Connecticut treats DUIs. West Virginia, on the other hand, if you get caught with a DUI and you kill someone, your penalties are doubled. Now, this passed the House. You could see it on screen, 95-0. Not one single representative in West Virginia said, come on, let's go easy on the criminals. Let's not make their penalties harsh. None. Not a single person voted to support criminals in West Virginia. Can I get a round of applause? Can anyone see that this is how you get things done? So the article continues.
Bill 4712 passed the lower chamber today by a vote of 95-0. That bill, known as Bailey's Law, increases minimum sentences from 3 years to 5, while maximum sentences would go from 15 years to 30 for.
There you go. There you go. DUI, and you kill someone. This is a 100% preventable crime. Hey, listen, guess what's going to happen now? Guess what's going to happen? Let me tell you. In West Virginia, now if you're out with your boys and you're at the bar and you're throwing axes or you're playing darts or you're watching the big game and you have a couple of beers, you're going to be like, guys, dude, I'm gonna call an Uber. I'm gonna get a Lyft. I'm gonna walk home. I'm gonna spend the $50 on an Uber with a tip because I don't want to spend up to 30 years in jail. This kind of law is going to change behaviors. Now, there is not a overwhelming DUI problem in West Virginia, but there are people that drink and drive in every state in the union. But West Virginia said, not on my watch. No, sir. You're going to make a mistake like that. We are going to punish you, and we're going to punish you hard. Connecticut, 1, 2, 3, 5, 17, 27 strikes, and you're still not out. You can get 7, 8, 9 DUIs in Connecticut. You won't even lose your license if you find the right judge, or if you're the right skin color, or if you're the right demographic. They'll just let you go. Sorry, oh, that crime's not that bad. We'll wait until you kill, what, drunk drive into a school bus? Take out a whole grade? No, not in West Virginia. Bailey's Law says you get a DUI and kill someone, oh, you're gone. You're going away.
Anyone convicted of driving under the influence and causing a death. The bill is named after Bailey Bauer, a 24-year-old Boone County woman who was killed in a head-on DUI crash in April of last year. This case sparked major debate after 19-year-old Destiny Lester, the woman who was accused in the case, received 6 months of home confinement and required participation in a youth program. The bill.
So, Destiny. We won't jump to any conclusions here, but Destiny was the drunk driver who killed Bailey in a DUI accident, and she was let off with a 6 months of home monitoring. Well, that seems like a pretty liberal policy. Hey, take it easy on the criminals. And West Virginia said, nope, we're not doing that anymore. That's over. It's done. We're not doing it. You do that now, jail. Oh, sorry, never mind. What I meant to say is double jail. We're throwing you in jail for twice as long as normal because you killed someone. That's how West Virginia gets stuff done. That's one of the reasons why I want to be here, because it's safer. And these people aren't taking crime and going, oh, they're just misunderstood. Nope. They're saying, oh, it's crime? Well, you've made a mistake. Now you have to have consequences. Oh my God, a state that will hold people with consequences? What are we going to do? I'm going to be happy is what I'm going to do, because I'm living here where if you make a mistake, you got to pay for it. In Connecticut, if you make a mistake, well, you get to go out and make another mistake, and then another mistake, and then another mistake, and you keep doing it until you kill someone. But what really got me motivated to get out of Connecticut is this other article. We're going to flip over. Now, you understand what West Virginia is. I've made my case, how they take law and order seriously here, and they're going to get stuff done. Oh, and by the way, literally every single person in West Virginia can carry a gun over the age of 18. If you don't have a felony conviction and you're don't have an open warrant for domestic abuse or some very, very, very stringent things, just about everybody here can carry a gun. Open carry, concealed carry, doesn't really matter. So everyone's real polite, because you never know who's packing a little weapon under their belt. And if things get a little mouthy and things get a little aggressive, someone can pull out a little peacemaker, and then the situation calms down. You never know who's carrying. So everyone here is real nice, real polite. You pull up to an intersection here and it's a four-way stop, and you're going to get an argument. No, you go first. No, you go first. That's the kind of old-fashioned Mayberry hometown this is, and I love it. Now, back to Connecticut. Let's switch over to the Daily Wire. This is an article that I found quite a while ago. Now, this is from January of 2025, so yep, it's more than a year old. But this is when I started to think about leaving, and this is one of the things that just pushed me right over the edge. That and getting a hit-and-run accident where no one decided to stop because they didn't have a driver's license, the plate was mismatched to the car, and they didn't have insurance. But that's a whole other story. You can watch that video later if you want. Connecticut. I'm just going to read the title. This is from Daily Wire, so I'm not making this up. Migrant pedophile who says he might reoffend. Connecticut Parole Board pardons illegal migrant pedophile who says he might reoffend. Illegal migrant pedophile was already in jail. And Connecticut says we need to pardon him. Why? You're never going to believe why. But they did. They pardoned him. Let's scroll up. I'm going to go through this a little bit at a time. I haven't read this article in about a year, but I've been saving it for just this occasion. And we're going to dive right in. Here we go. A convicted pedophile and illegal migrant was released from a Connecticut prison last month after his sympathetic parole board mulled how to best help him avoid deportation. Yep, you got it. Let's break this down. They had a convicted pedophile, which means he saw a judge. They presented evidence. He was convicted. He did the crime. He is guilty. He was in jail. But the parole board in Connecticut had to get him out of jail because the current presidential administration, Trump, wanted to deport him. Connecticut goes, no, No, we have to do everything we can to keep this person here in Connecticut, where he can do more convicted pedophile stuff. Connecticut must keep him here, because if we don't, Trump will deport him, and we must keep him. Why? Why? What benefit does he add to the Connecticut community? Well, he's brown, so he must stay. I can only assume that's their only reason. The Trump administration, the parole board decided, would not be able to get its act together fast enough to deport the illegal migrant before his 30-day immigration detainer runs out. Now, they said part of the reason why the Trump can't do it is because he can't even get a Speaker of the House elected. He's not going to be able to do anything. We have to rush this out and get him out right away. What? This doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. Guerino Magliore. I don't care if I'm saying that right. 52 years old, serving 5 years in prison for felony second-degree sexual assault against a child between 13 and 15 years old. A child. This is a baby. Okay, a 13 to 15-year-old isn't exactly a baby, but this is a child. He was convicted of doing this crime on March 11th, 2020, just as pandemic lockdowns were starting, and he was sentenced in November the next year. During his parole hearing on New Year's Eve, Magliore said he cannot promise that he will not offend again. So he did it. He admitted he did it. And they said at the parole board, listen, if we let you out, will you stop doing it? And he said, nah, I can't promise that. I can't promise I won't do it again. Listen, I see a kid, I can't help myself. I just got to do it again. I can't promise. And what did Connecticut say? Well, try your best, and we'll let you out anyway. Can anyone make sense of this? Can you help me with this? Can you give me anything? I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. I don't understand how they keep doing this. What is happening? Connecticut, can you make it make sense? Can you help at all? Can you do anything for me? Can you explain it? Why does this convicted pedophile need to be set free? Why? Let me see if I can find this video. I think this article is so old, the videos aren't here anymore. But let's go back and read some of these. All right. I want to be perfectly clear. She told the convict. This is the administration of the parole board. She says, I want to be perfectly clear. She told the convict, if we grant your discretionary parole today, you'll be transported to a halfway house where you will wait for ICE to pick you up and you will be returned. You won't reunite with your family. That's not going to happen, sir. Oh, so they're going to take me right back? Magliore said. They're going to take you back in a matter of days, Barry responded. Barry is the person on the parole board. So even though the country is in turmoil the way it is, he said, that's not our concern. That's out of our control, she said. Magliore shook his head. Yeah, Barry said. Barry suggested Magliore might have a better chance of fighting his deportation detainer in prison than if he is sent out in the country and trying to get back, blah, blah, blah. However, another board member, Pohl, pushed back with a different perspective. So my take on this is that we parole him today. They can't be, so my take on this is that we parole him today, because they can't elect a Speaker of the House. I don't think Trump administration is going to be in a position in the next 30 days, which is what they told him. So Barry responded enthusiastically, really, when she learned the ICE detainer would only last 30 days rather than 90. Blah, 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 blah. The board took a brief recess. They ended. In the end, all three parole board members agreed to release this convicted pedophile, deciding he would have the best opportunity to dispute this immigration detainer if he is granted discretionary parole. So the Connecticut Parole Board decided this man, a 52-year-old lifelong registered sex offender, would have better chances of fighting immigration if he was released from prison. At any point during this conversation, I read most of the transcript earlier. At any point during the conversation of why he should be released, they never once discussed the victims. No, not once. What about the kids? Never came up. What about the community? Never came up. They wanted to make sure this guy would never get deported. That was their only goal. So Maglory was on the sex offender registry as far back as 2 decades ago in 1998. He was convicted of injury or risk of injury to or impairing the morals of children. This guy, for decades, has been known to the state of Connecticut as a danger to children. And they bent over backwards to release him from prison so he wouldn't get deported. Thank you, Connecticut. That's what they're doing. That's what Connecticut stands for. That's what Connecticut wants. They are importing these people by the thousands. They have completely lost control. It is a fallen state. Connecticut is dead. Connecticut is no longer for Connecticut people. Connecticut is for people from, according to AOC, south of the equator. If you get that reference, congratulations. Stamford Police, this gets even better. Stamford Police. Stamford is a very large city in Connecticut. Stamford Police said they found evidence Maglory may have worked at Newfield Elementary School before background checks were complete. They put this guy to work in an elementary school. A person that had been on the sex offender registry list for decades, and they thought the best place for this guy was to work in an elementary school. Thank you, Connecticut. Thank you. Thank you for having this guy remain in the state. And why don't you just put him around some kids for good measure? Connecticut, I hate you. I had to leave because they are the most corrupt state in the country. Oh, don't worry. California's got some problems, and Minnesota lately has been giving them a run for their money. Connecticut is going to be worse than Minneapolis and Minnesota. Connecticut's going to be worse than California, and it's going to be worse than Maryland with their giant DEI sewage spill last week. You're going to find out about this sooner or later, and I'm going to dig into Connecticut news every now and again. Now that I'm not there and I have to live there and see these people face to face, you're going to find out that Connecticut is an absolute shithole. It is the worst state in the country. And this is going to become unbelievably obvious very, very soon. So that's why I don't live there anymore. I am a current resident of the great state of West Virginia. I will be back to Connecticut once or twice to sell some of my properties there and wrap it up, and then I am gone. I will never be back. Like New York City. When New York City, I guess right before the pandemic lockdowns, we used to go to New York every now and then. We'd see the sights, we'd catch a show. You know, New York was fun. Great food. Yeah, we went to Cat's Deli. We did the whole thing. We did all the touristy stuff. We used to shop in the garment district for fabric because one of the companies I own deals with a lot of wholesale clothing, fabric and rolls and bolts. And yeah, we went to Mood. We did the thing. Dangerous. Got too dangerous. They stopped the stop and frisk, and they just let everyone, they let criminals run around with guns and knives. But if you're a regular person with a more than a 3-inch pocket knife in your pocket, a Swiss Army knife, as every man should carry a knife with them at all times, oh, you can go to jail. You can go to jail in New York if you get caught with a tiny little pocket knife. But you're allowed to rob a bodega. I don't understand. So we don't go back. We haven't been back. I'll never go to New York again. And I'm going to say the same thing about Connecticut. I'm never going to go to Connecticut again. So that's it for today. I just wanted to do a quick little, Hello, book zealots, I see you. Anyway, yes, I escaped. I did escape from the Connecticut's. I am now in the southern central part of West Virginia, and I am more happy than I could have ever been. I'm going to take my dogs out for a walk in the river in the backside of our property, and I'm going to do some live streaming on that too one of these days so you can kind of see where I'm at. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So howdy, book zealots. I'm so glad you caught me live, and I was able to jump on here real quick and try to do a live and get back to all the normal things. Hopefully I can do more videos here again more frequently now that I'm set up. I just finally got my office set up, but that's a whole other video for another time. Anyway, I think that sums up my case pretty good of why I had to leave Connecticut and why West Virginia is a better place. So if you agree with that, if you're shocked that Connecticut fought so hard to release a criminal convicted second-degree sexual predator, and why West Virginia wants to lock up anyone who does a DUI for 30 years, you can understand why I wanted to be here and why I don't want to be there. And if you're shocked by any of these stories, leave a comment down below, and I will wrap this up for today. And geez, I don't know. I'm just so happy to be here. I got a big smile on my face. I can't wait to get out and explore some more and start fixing up the new property and all the things. So anyway, that's enough for today. I just wanted to get out here and share some of these stories. So if you like any of this, do the things, throw me a like, it helps, and subscribe. I'll do more again later, and maybe we'll do some fun, wacky West Virginia stories and stuff like that. Anyway, that's enough for today. I appreciate everyone who stopped by to watch, and book zealots, thanks for the comment. I will talk to everybody soon. Everybody have a great day. Goodbye.